All right, welcome in everyone. It's Wednesday. It's time for Total Bases. This is your Major League Baseball deep dive show on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Free picks. We'll get you some free picks. We got a few free picks yesterday, guys. Parlay was a winner. Cubs won, Guardians won. Bryan's first 5 under won easily to put us back in the plus on the parlay for the year. Want to stress how impressive I think that is. We've been doing a 3-team parlay every day since April, and we're ahead. So who says you can't win betting parlays, Ryan Leonard? Even though that's what they like to tell you. But we still have some season to go. I'm sure it's going to get tougher as we get to the playoffs. So let's build ourselves a cushion and try to hit another one today. I want to hit a couple of these games that are, I guess big implication games. I talked to someone, or I responded to someone in the comments yesterday, and they said, "Why'd you spend 8 minutes on Marlins Nats?" And I said, "We're sports bettors. Every game is a big game. There's no game that's less big than a different one, because if your money's on it, it's a big game. I don't care. It could be, it could be Pee-wee football, Brian. If you're betting on it, it matters. So we're going to, we'll hit what you guys put in the chat, but I'm going to appease the masses that want to talk big games. And I'm going to start in the AL, in the American League, where we have the Houston Astros trying to hang on to a division lead that suddenly the Rangers have put themselves in the conversation for. And they're going to take on the Toronto Blue Jays, who are fighting tooth and nail to hold off the Yankees, and huge result for them last night. They looked lifeless for 8 innings, and they tie it up in the 9th, steal it in the 10th. Big win for the Blue Jays, especially with the Yankees getting bombed by the Tigers. So let's talk Astros, Blue Jays. Any thoughts on the respective divisions? I gave out Rangers 12-1 on a free pick video yesterday to win the AL West. I kind of feel good about myself after how yesterday played out. But what about you? Any talk on the divisions, and then do a breakdown Astros Blue Jays for us?
Yeah, the Rangers were up to 22.7% to win that division. It's interesting. The Astros have a 1-game division lead over the Mariners, yet they got less of a chance to make the playoffs. They're currently at 79.1, where the Mariners are at 86.4. And the reason is, if you take a look at the home games, Houston's played 5 more home games than Seattle has. And we're to the point now where you've got about 17 games left in the season. So Seattle's going to have 5 more home games than Houston the rest of the way out. So a lot of people pay attention to the games behind, but pay attention to the rest of the stuff on the schedule and see who you're playing. And so actually the Houston team, even though they got that 1-game lead, has less of a chance to make the playoffs. We got Alexander going against Barrios right here. Barrios about a 128, maybe a 130 favorite. Total of 9. Jason Alexander is 4-1 on the season. He seems to get some good run support when he pitches. 4.68 ERA, 4.66 expected, 1.39 whip. The whip's pretty bad. In fact, all of his numbers are pretty bad if you take a look at his StatCast page. First percentile chase rate, 9th percentile hard hit rate. Throws basically, he's got 6 pitches. He only throws his cutter 1% of the time, but his four-seamer is only 92.1 miles an hour, and he only throws it 10%. So he's learned to pitch without it, but his other pitches have not been that impressive. Jose Barrios, a guy that always seems to outplay his advanced stats. 4.02 ERA, he's 9-5 on the season. 16-11 last year, so he's had some pretty good win-loss numbers for Toronto, even though win-loss is probably the least important number out of all of them. 4.02 ERA, 4.72 expected, 1.29 whip. Also a lot of blue. The only thing he's better than league average in is chase rate 52nd percentile, walk rate 53rd. So he's the guy that can get hit also. Throws 5 pitches, his four-seamer only 18% of the time, 2 miles an hour less than a normal right-hander. So we got 2 guys here that I think can get hit. And we've got a Houston team that's pretty desperate, but so is Toronto. They got the Yankees right on them there. And as you mentioned, Trig, that you think the Yankees a while back, you said they were going to pass them. They're playing a lot better ball, although it didn't work out for them yesterday. But I would not be surprised by that at all. So we're getting Toronto about a 130 favorite. I prefer Toronto slightly, but I don't really want to lay a number that size. If I could get a 120, I believe it opened Pinnacle's got a 125 right now, but if it got down to 120, I may be interested in Toronto. But anything more than that, I gotta take a second look at it. A lot of these games today, it's getaway day on just about every team in the American, or excuse me, the National League. But in the American League, they're all continuing on. Tomorrow will be their getaway day. So there's a few of those getaway days today, and some of them are during the day. Those are the ones that I like to play the unders on, but we'll get to those a little bit later. As of right now, this is probably a pass for me unless somebody comes in on Houston.
Yeah, won the $5 play yesterday, the Cubs guys, which I gave out on this show yesterday, and 5% plays this week. So MLB is going pretty well for me. Go to wagertalk.com and see what we have available. I have already put my MLB slate out for the day, so you can catch that. I'm sure these two gentlemen will have something up as well. Free plays too. Free plays galore. Go to wagertalk.com and click free plays, and you'll see them all. Regarding this one, I do like Toronto's lineup a lot better than Houston, and I do like their bullpen slightly better than Houston. So starting pitching, my numbers like Jason Alexander from Seinfeld, but I don't like him at all. And you look at his last few starts, he's given up 10 earned runs in his last 4 starts. His expected numbers are a lot better than his current numbers. I still don't like him for some reason. He doesn't pass my eye test. Looking at Berrios. So with all those factors, normally my instinct as a capper would be to lean towards the Blue Jays. Now, if I'm going to lean towards the Blue Jays, I want to check out the pitcher and how he does against this team in his career, which is pretty good. He's got pretty good numbers against them. 109 at bats against, just a 229 average against, and a 676 OPS. And I know people in the chat who have nothing better to do are going to say, you're pronouncing his name wrong. It's Berrios. Who cares? Let's just win some money. And what bothers me is his ERA at home is worse than it is on the road. This park is a launching pad, lots of runs. His last start, he gave up 2 earned in 2 innings. I'm not sure. Do you guys know why he only went 2 innings in his last start?
I believe
was he injured, or
I believe
did
he was out of the game, wasn't he?
I see. He only gave up 2 runs in 2 innings. It's not really normally licensed to pull someone. But anyways, so he did get rocked a little by the Reds, and he gave up 2 to the Marlins. Before that, he gave up 6 to the Rangers, 0, and then 3, 2, 2, 4. So he's very inconsistent. So I just don't really feel like doing it. If Toronto had maybe Gaussman on the mound today, I would definitely back him. But Berrios is tough to trust in this spot. But if I bet it, Toronto would be the way.
Yeah, both pitchers tough to trust. If I bet it, it's going to be the over, because I don't agree with that 9 reduced juice. I don't even really agree with the 9 flat, to be perfectly honest with you. I make the number 9.5 here. Obviously, as I talked about yesterday, in a game that ended up, I think we talked about over 9 with the Nats Marlins. It ended up getting there pretty easily. That 9 flat is kind of key. So even though it's only a half run, if I make something 9.5 and the total is 9, and in this case, it's actually a reduced 9, which means some sites might give you the 8.5 at not a terrible price. I got to look to the over. I'll before I even get to the bullpens, there's chances for runs off both starting pitchers. So you got Jose Berrios, bottom 10% in the league in barrel rate. Just expected ERA is up near 5. Expected batting average is over 260. There's runs to be had there, in my opinion, especially with, I know the Astros have gotten some heat for their offensive production of late. This is still a lineup that can be good and also can handle a guy like Berrios. On the other side, Jason Alexander, I'm still not sure he's like a big league starter. I know he's had some success this year, but when I was kind of watching this, so he's been in 3 different organizations now, I believe. I want to say he spent time with the Brewers, the A's. This is all within like the past year or 2. He was at AAA with all 3 of them. Never at any point did I like, oh, this guy's good, like really good at AAA. And so now that he's had a little success in the big leagues, it's that to me is a red flag for me personally. Chase rate, bottom 1% in the league, not good. Hard hit rate, bottom 10% in the league, not good. Throws 90, 91. It like doesn't have a plus fastball. He's another one of these guys, like 4 pitches, so he can mix it up a little bit, but doesn't really have a plus pitch anywhere. As Tokyo Brandon said, the Blue Jays are still a very strong lineup. So while he can get away with that over maybe the course of, like he can accumulate decent numbers, he's probably a guy that's going to get blown up at some point, especially by a better lineup. It's just, I just don't see anything on his sort of resume, like mix of pitches, what he does that the Blue Jays can't handle. So those are 2 guys starters that I think could get hit. Blue Jays bullpen, I said this last week, has been bad. Like if you take their win streak out of it, which was I think May through June, you go back to like July 1st. This is a bullpen that's had like a 5.5, close to 6 ERA. So again, can they give up runs late? Of course. What did the Astros do yesterday? They choked a game away late. That can carry over a little bit, especially inside the same series, because suddenly, no one on the Blue Jays is fearing anyone the Astros are going to put out there at the end of the game. They already got to them once. So under or over 9 here seems like a good bet. There's just runs all through this 9 innings with these 2 teams and these 2 offenses. So I like the over 9. Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to point out Berrios did not pitch well. He went 2 innings, gave up 7 hits, 6 runs, only 2 of them was earned. So it wasn't the game that a pitcher was thrown out. That was my mistake on that. And I do want to point out I use Fangraphs roster resource. They do a terrific job, but they did not update any relief pitcher pitches for today's game. So I'm going blind without having to look it up, and I just don't have the time right now. So I can't give you that information on who's going to be available out of the bullpens today. So that's a little homework for everybody because that's not up right now, and I just don't have the time to go individually box score to get it. So we're running a little bit short on that today.
All right, Clint Harrelson Fitness. I think that's the first time I've seen him in the live chat. So welcome in, Clint, if you're just finding the show. If you've been here the whole time, we appreciate that. We appreciate the comments. We'll get to your game because this sort of keeps us in that conversation of the American League and teams that are in the mix. He wants to discuss Brew Crew Rangers under. That was one. So I never got to the window with client play yesterday, which was actually good because my leans went like 3-3. Now, good enough for me is that I use the Cubs for the parlay and I use the Rangers for my free pick video. So everyone out there thinks I was like 2-0 yesterday. But full disclosure, I'm actually pretty content with passing because the other stuff would have lost. And I'm certain, Brian Leonard, that I would have picked the wrong one. Just how it goes. But the Rangers, I did a video for this one yesterday. Gave out the Rangers 12-1 to win the AL West. I thought that was worth a shot at the price going into yesterday. I bet it's not as good now with the Astros blowing that game and the Rangers winning. And I gave out the Rangers to win, and they got it done. Clint says Brew Crew Rangers. So this is, again, much bigger game for the Rangers, as we've kind of discussed this whole last couple weeks with the Brewers going through the motions. These games really aren't that important for them. He also wants to talk totals. So we'll go to you, Brian. Brewers, Rangers. What do you see here?
Freddie Peralta, Merle Kelly. Peralta's about a 130 favorite. Total is 7.5 to the under. Strong to the under 115 to 122. I'm seeing out there. Yes, Milwaukee doesn't need to win the games, but with Wheeler out now for the season, Freddie Peralta, I mean, he's not going to win the Cy Young, but take a look at these numbers. 16-5 on the season with a 2.50 ERA. His whip is 1.07. He's having a terrific run right now, and I don't know if I want to bet against him while he's in the lineup. For myself, the guy's on a roll, and nobody else has been able to hit him. Why would this Texas team, who is missing, I believe, 2 of their top 3 hitters in the lineup, how are they going to be able to get to him? I think Milwaukee will have some success here. I think the under is probably a good thing to look for here. Unfortunately, I don't have the bullpen numbers see who's going to be available. But I don't want to go against Peralta, and I don't trust this Texas offense. When you're looking at his opponent here, Kelly's been very good his entire career, a guy that doesn't get a lot of credit, but he's got, in 7 seasons, 3.71 ERA, 1.19 whip. That's a pretty good pitcher. Take a look at his StatCast page. The one thing he does very well is he gets people to chase bad pitches, 88th percentile, and he doesn't walk a lot in the 71st percentile, but a lot of his other stuff is in the blue. He's not going to dazzle you, but he comes in with a 3.16 ERA, 4.04 expected, a little bit negative regression coming for him, but once again, one of these pitchers that go back his entire career, 7 years, he is beating his expected ERA every single year. He's deceptive, and that's the kind of guy you want. And he's not going to blow you away with his four-seamer, only 92 miles an hour. But he's got some other pitches. He throws 6 overall, although it's got his cutter, his four-seam, and his change are the ones he uses the most. I like both these pitchers. Don't trust the offenses a little bit here. So, yeah, I would play the under, but it looks like it's getting close to heading down to 7. Right now, 7.5. So if it's 3-3, you need to get that 7 for the under to get the win instead of the tie. So make sure if you do like the under, you play that now, and that would be the way that I would lean on this one. It's an early game, by the way, 11:35 Pacific.
Yeah, along the same lines as Bryan. If you look at how both of these pitchers have performed against the other team, both of them have been amazing, actually. Merrill Kelly, 47 at bats against, a 128 average and a 382 OPS. Is 400 points under my Mendoza line. And Peralta, 229 average and 35 at bats against with a 656. So actually, Merrill Kelly has a little bit better numbers. So the next thing I would look at is how are they hitting? I got the Rangers ranked 19 in current form, which is a little bit below average. And I got the Milwaukee Brewers ranked 16, which is just a smidge below average. Bullpens, a little dicey here and there. Rangers a little above average, Milwaukee a little below average. So overall, I think with the semi-mediocre current form for both lineups, instead of trusting the bullpens, just go with the starting pitchers here. I think the first 5 under 3.5 would be the way to go. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make that my parlay leg, is the first 5 under 3.5. Right now, it looks like, let's see, hang on a second, total first half. It's actually 4, under 4 at -122 on Pinnacle. What do you see, Bryan?
Let's see here. First half total?
Yeah. 4? You got a 4?
Yeah, we're looking. Well, it's 3.5 overs, 135, 4 minus maybe about 120.
So for the parlay, what do you think would be fair to put out?
Minus 120, 125 would be the way it would be on the under right now. You're getting plus money on the over.
So that's Brewers, Rangers. Brewers, just so I have it correct. Brewers, Rangers, first 5 under 4 is roughly -125.
Yeah.
I like it. Let's do that. Some people saying they get 4.5, but I think that's an alt. So yeah, let's do
that
4.
would be an alt. Yeah, but that under 4.
Let's do 4. I think pretty much everyone will be able to get a 4 probably. So let's do that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. So first sort of opinion on this game, very similar to the side on the last game. I kind of got going on the total, didn't really touch on the side in the Blue Jays game, but didn't really feel like one of those teams should be like favored over the other, like a substantial favorite over the other. Kind of how I feel here. I don't really see why the Brewers would be a $1.40, $1.35, $1.40 favorite in this scenario. That being said, this Brewers team is still an elite baseball team, and I guess my concern from a standpoint of backing the Rangers here would be they are going to show up for some of these games, right? Like the Brewers are just not going to they're not going to lose out, okay? And when the Brewers when they are interested and they are playing good ball, this is still a team that's 89 and 57, a plus 170 run differential, arguably the best team in the league, one of the best teams in the league. I think we can all agree is the case. So the way I look at it, like, even though I think the Rangers have a great shot here They've obviously have more to play for. They're playing great ball right now. I feel like yesterday was maybe the spot to back the Rangers, and now you're kind of asking for it, fading Freddie Peralta. That's kind of how I feel just about the game in general. So even though I have no interest at Brewers, plus laying $1.35, $1.40 with the Brewers, going back to what we've talked about this whole time, it's just these get even with the losses yesterday. Like, these are just not crucial games for this Brewers team. They're 6.5. They have a 6.5 game lead in their own division. They have a 4-game lead on the Phillies for the best record. They're still on the road. I could absolutely see the Brewers maybe waking up at home because they obviously have their home fans to play for. But right now, you can't lay $1.40 on the road with the Brewers. It's crazy. Do I want to take the Rangers and bet against them? Not really, because I respect Peralta. So that makes the side handicap here virtually impossible for me. Just not a game I'm going to get involved with. TB, I can't really argue with, you thinking these pitchers could come out and get through 5 with limited damage. So I hope you're right there. That's probably the best way to play this one. Maybe,
Especially Kelly. I actually think Peralta's the better pitcher, but Kelly, his numbers against the Brewers in a huge sample size, amazing. So I think it's a safe bet.
Remember, Merrill Kelly comes from the National League. He's he's had exposure, and sometimes I think a point I'll leave this on before we go to the next game. Sometimes batter to pitcher exposure is not always bad for the pitcher, because it's a double-edged sword. Like, sometimes I think the quick exposure sometimes hurts the pitcher, where it's like they just saw you 6 days ago. But if you've seen batters and you have a good game plan, like especially like a veteran like Merrill Kelly, where you have a good idea of how you want to attack a lineup, that can be advantage pitcher too. So that's a good, I think that's a good point. Double Jacks Wild said Brewers down to -126 on Bet Online. It wouldn't surprise me to see the Rangers take some money there. This was Brewers -140, like before we got on the show, -135, -140. That's quite an inflated number, in my opinion. Just when you consider like where both of these teams are at this point, how badly the Rangers need this game, how they're playing, that's a very inflated number. I can't believe it was as high as that. That being said, I'm not going to be fading the Brewers here. Okay, let's see. I want to go back to the chat. Bryan is very happy about your call in Pirates Orioles yesterday. I saw a lot of people thanking you for that call. If you missed it, it was part of our parlay. Bryan gave out the first 5 under in Pirates Orioles. It was an easy winner. And so Markinson wants to go back there because, and we got to go back there for 2 reasons. One, these are my 2 babies playing each other, which is unfortunate because I want to bet on both of these teams and they're playing each other, Bryan. That's unfortunate for me. 2, it's Paul Skeens Day. So Pirates Orioles, you had the under nailed yesterday. My guess is, without having looked at it, the line yet, probably not a ton of value in the under department when Paul Skeens is on the mound. But man, like, these 2 teams, they're both playing good ball. It's tough for me. It's tough to fade either of these teams. Are you trying to go back to Pirates Orioles today?
Yeah, 2 young teams that continue. Baltimore had the expectations coming into the season, but they were quickly out of it, and they had to bring up some other guys, and so they got a lot of younger guys playing. And Pittsburgh, their whole team is basically younger guys. So other than Tommy Pham and maybe a couple others. So yeah, two teams showing their fans that yes, they've got something to look forward to next year. We've got Skeens coming in about a 140. More like a 150 favorite here. Total 7.5 to the under. I do want to say, since we talked about the Houston-Toronto game, the Blue Jays have gotten hit across the board. They're a little bit higher here. But getting back to the Pittsburgh game, Paul Skeens on his way to the Cy Young Award, 10-9 record, but a 1.98 ERA, 2.57 expected, 0.94 WHIP. Everything on his StatCast page is red. He's very good. He's got 7 different pitches. Hard hit rate in the 59th percentile is the worst thing he has. And pitching in Pittsburgh is a pretty good pitcher's ballpark. He doesn't get hurt by that at all. And he's going up against Tyler Wells, back from injury. 3.60 ERA, 2.75 expected, 1.00 whip. So he's only pitched the one game, but he went 5 innings, got 4 strikeouts, and looked pretty impressive. Chase rate was good. His walk rate was good, but his additional information is basically in the blue. He's a guy for his career in 5 seasons, 4.05 ERA, 1.04 whip. Considering he's pitched in the American League in Baltimore in that division where you got to face, the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Blue Jays bats all the time. He's not a bad pitcher. He's about league average. I would qualify him in that regard. For myself in this game, I think Pittsburgh will perform very well with Skeens on the mound. But with Wells, if he pitches anything like he did in that first game, it'll be a lower scoring game. Total 7.5. If it got down to 7, I probably would not play it. This is still, since they moved the fences in a little bit, 13 feet since last year, it's more of a good hitter's park. So I'm going to probably lay off of this game. There's other games on the board. And, maybe play something with a lot of the young Baltimore batters, maybe Skeen strikeouts or something to that effect. But that's not my priority. That's Brandon does that kind of thing. So we'll see what he has to say about that.
Yeah. My baseball card is out for today, guys. So go to wagertalk.com and see what is available. I'm sure my comrades here, my Russian comrades here, will have plays up, and we always have free plays out as well. Go to the replay and leave a comment, please. Goes a long way, especially in football season. Wager Talk will say, hey, people are still talking baseball. That's great. 133 innings pitched and a 1.98 ERA. I'd say Skeens is pretty good. He's a decent pitcher. So who's he facing today? He's facing a lineup that I have ranked 21 out of 30 in current form. Pittsburgh's bullpen, not real trustworthy at the moment. I've actually liked their bullpen. I've had their bullpen ranked top 10 certain parts of the season. But right now they're not performing that well. I have them slightly under average right now. I think the Baltimore team total in the first 5, 1.5. Now, I honestly, I said this on yesterday's show. MLB 1.5s in the first 5 are really dangerous. A bloop and a blast and your bet is dead. But Skeens is just special. I mean, there are probably 5 pitchers in MLB that are just special, and he's definitely one of the top 2. He's just special, and I don't think Baltimore is going to score 2 runs on him. As a matter of fact, Skeens has only given up more than 1 run in 3 of his last 10 starts. So a 70% shot at winning a bet. Yeah, I think that's a decent bet. So that's probably the way I would go in this one.
Yeah, I like the Pirates here. I like Skeens. TB, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think this Orioles lineup, for as much as I think they play the underdog role well right now, and they've got some young stuff, young pieces to like about the future, it's still a very young lineup at times, and one that I think can be dominated by like tip-top pitching. It'll go forgotten at this point, but we saw a very good pitcher dominate this lineup over the weekend in Yamamoto. It's just no one remembers that because of how that game ended. And that's the thing. Like they're so young that like they don't know better. So they're going to, it's just going to be very sporadic, and they can go from getting literally no hit for 8 innings to seeing a different pitcher and kind of like rallying. And I think the energy is great, but like it's still a young lineup that can be, I think is prone to being like just wiped out by a guy like Skeens. Give me this Orioles lineup against, maybe like a mid-level pitcher from one of the AL East teams that's overvalued. Yeah, I'll take that all day. Against Skeens, I want no part. I like the Pirates. Do I want to lay $1.45 with the Pirates? Not really, but it would be Pirates, Skeens, find a way to play the Pirates or Skeens doing something good, maybe an under. No play here for me, but that's the only way I could go. Go ahead, Brian.
The only drawback is we all know Colorado's the worst team on the road in Major League Baseball. They've won 17 games on the road this season. The next worst is the Pirates at 22 wins on the season. And you're getting a Baltimore team who's pretty hot. There's 7-3 of their last 10. There's always drawbacks when you've got Skeens on the mound because they don't hit for them, and they have not played well on the road. So I'll be sitting it out, but maybe we can get some strikeouts. Maybe that's how you approach that game.
Case in point, he's the best. He's one of the two best pitchers in MLB, and he's 10-9. So
yeah. I guess to take it a step further, if you didn't want to go TB's route, which is like a team total under because there's less room for error, Tyler Wells threw the ball pretty good throughout his rehab. Pittsburgh really doesn't hit on the road either. This is one of the worst offensive teams in baseball. I know they've been better of late. They've kind of found ways to get hot and stuff, but Tyler Wells, I thought he threw it pretty good in his rehab outings. Last time out, first big league, similar to Kyle Bradish. So Kyle Bradish is a guy we talked about yesterday. Tyler Wells had a very long, drawn-out rehab. They didn't need to rush him back. There was no reason to sort of get him back to the big league level. They let him get back to speed. And then what did he do last time out? Comes out in San Diego, 5 pretty strong innings. He went 5 innings, 2 runs on 5 hits, 0 walks, 4 strikeouts. So maybe you go first 5 under again, just like Bryan did yesterday. It's hard to see them scoring more than 3 or 4 runs. I don't know what the first 5 under is. I'm guessing you're going to have to stay under 3.5 here.
3.5.
It's hard to believe that there's big time offense in the early stages of this game. So maybe that's the way you go. Bryan, I got to compliment you on that is a great Guardians hat right there. I know that's some sort of Guardians alternate cap. And let's compliment the Guardians as well. And Tokyo Brandon gave him out in the parlay yesterday. They win 2-0. I'm happy to see it because I'm about had it with the Royals. And Bobby Wood Jr. did come back yesterday. Didn't really factor into that game. Think he went 1 for 4. I guess he's back. Bryan, do you have any faith in your Guardians? I mean, they're getting themselves back in the conversation, and it's I don't know that Logan Allen's necessarily the guy you want to back, but what are the Royals doing with their pitching today? Is it going to be a mix of bullpen arms? Do you like the Guardians to keep it going at home here?
Yeah, your thought process is the same as mine. We're getting Cleveland at a cheap number, maybe minus 105. Basically, it's a pick 'em out there right now. And I know Boland's going for Kansas City. He's a lefty, and he hasn't gotten a lot of action. But Allen is not a guy I'm looking to back. But, why is Kansas City a pick 'em in this game? Their season is basically over because the way they played in the last week.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
I just want to, just so you guys know and everyone in the chat knows, Jonathan Boland pitched on Monday. So it's they're not, even though he was a starter at Omaha, I don't think he's throwing starter innings here. So the fact that Boland's going to start this game after pitching on Monday suggests that this is probably a bullpen game for the Royals. Continue. Sorry. Yeah,
he's got 26 games pitched this year, and none of them has been a start. So he's going to be a starter here, just pitching an inning or so. He's got in 26 games, 35.1 innings. So he may go 2. And his numbers haven't been bad. 3.57 ERA, 3.69 expected, 1.13 WHIP. His walk rate's kind of poor at 10.5, much better than last year, 17.6. But he's a guy with a little bit of control issues. But you take a look at his StatCast page; it's a small number of innings, but there's more red than blue. He hasn't done bad. Logan Allen's a guy who comes in with he's lost 11 games already this year. 4.46 ERA. 4.66 expected, 1.44 WHIP. He has been the worst of the Cleveland starters, and when you got Ciccone on that list, that's not a good thing to say. Logan Allen, I thought coming into the season, there was a lot of talk that he was going to be much improved this year. It hasn't happened. He's got a losing record, 4.57 career ERA in three seasons. Hopefully, he's either got it or he pitches limited innings here so he can get the bullpen involved a little bit. I think the line is a little bit cheap on Cleveland, and that would be the way I would play it. But if I knew Allen was limited innings and then get the bullpen in there, I'd be more willing. Maybe this is a game where as the game goes on, you play it by ear, play a little bit on the live betting. Maybe Kansas City gets out to a 2-0 lead, and we can get Cleveland the rest of the game with the bullpen that's pitching much better now than they were earlier this season. And we can get that. So just something to keep involved. I want to be on Cleveland, but I don't want Logan Allen, basically.
Agree. And of every pitcher that starts today, Logan Allen has by far the worst numbers against the batters he's facing. 56 at-bats against, a 393 average against, and a 1,067 OPS. That is just rotten, dismal, terrible. Who's doing most of the damage? Bobby Witt Jr. And he's 7 for 12. So a Bobby Witt Jr. hits, runs, RBIs would be a decent bet today. He did have a little bit of a clunker game yesterday, but usually when these guys, the hitters are on like patterns as well. And when you knock them off their rhythm, it takes them a game or two to come back. I mean, I expect Bobby Witt Jr. to have a good game today. And I expect Max Muncy to have a good game, because when guys come back, it takes them a game or two just to get back into the rhythm. Bobby Witt Jr. has absolutely clobbered Allen in his career. So I think the Royals over 1.5 in the first 5, or a Bobby Witt hits, runs, RBIs would be a good play in this one. I don't trust the Royals lineup, but I do think Bobby Witt Jr. will probably have a decent game here.
Yeah, I mean, it really is going to come down to how much you trust the Royals bullpen. So Dan in the chat says Bolin is right-handed. He's been up on roster for a couple weeks now, pitched in long relief. He actually has been back and forth from Kansas City to Omaha 8 times this year. So he has been called up and sent down 8 different times. It's sort of
a lot of buses.
It's sort of the life of your back end bullpen guys now, and that's just how they treat relievers in baseball now. Once you're once you're used and you can't be used for a couple of days, they option you if you have options, and they get someone else because the teams don't get much length out of their starters anymore, and they need the arms. So the whole thing here though is he's not going to pitch more than 2 innings because he hasn't for the Royals yet, and he just pitched on Monday. So you got to figure I like Bolin. He's someone that I like, but we're only going to get 2 innings out of him here. So what are the Royals going to do the rest of the time? I mean, they do have some arms that I don't mind out of their bullpen. So could they potentially piece it together? Yeah, they probably could. I still don't like this Guardians lineup, but I don't know that I'm confident enough in the Royals piecing together essentially 7 innings of bullpen relief. They haven't hit at all. The Guardians, I have my own issues with Logan Allen, the Guardians, but they are playing good baseball when it matters, and they've looked the more interested team over the past week or so. So this is a tough one for me. I just don't really know how to play this, because I'd love to find a spot to take the Royals in this series at some point, because I just don't know that the Guardians sweep them. But I don't want 7. I don't want 9 innings essentially from the Royals bullpen. It could work, but that's just not what I really want to bet on. So I guess reluctantly I'll call it under, but this is probably one I don't have action in. Just we'll hope for Bryan's sake that the Guardians just keep winning so he can be entertained in October. But this feels like probably a low scoring game somehow, even in spite of Logan Allen. Not liking Logan Allen. I think maybe he pitches okay here, because I'll go back to what I said yesterday. This Royals lineup does not fare particularly well against left-handed pitching. So we'll call it under. All right, let's go. Jesse's got a question. Let's get Jesse Schul in here. First of all, thank you for tuning in, Jesse. He wants to know, do you think pitchers on losing teams dial back the velo in these final games to preserve longevity, unless fighting for a roster spot? That's an interesting question. I want to see if we have a game where we have one of those guys today. So I'm going to take a quick look at games we haven't talked about yet.
Skeens.
Well, no, we already talked about that game. Let me
But
scroll. What about Chris Sale? How about that game? That's what about a guy like Sale? Now you got Braves, Cubs. Sale might not be the best example because I feel like he didn't have much of a season. So it's he's just kind of coming out. He's probably happy to be out there. Brian, do you want to answer Jesse's question? And then we'll take it into Cubs Braves, since we nailed this one yesterday. We might as well talk about it today.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure they they do. They're still playing for contracts. They're still trying to impress. Like Miami right now with Perez going, he would be my example of that. Is
All
he's
right,
not
let's
pitching
talk.
well,
Would
but
you
he has
rather
to
talk
prove-
that game? You want to talk that game instead?
Yeah, if you like, I
Yep.
don't have much on it, but he's a guy that's not pitched well lately, and he could easily cut back down, make sure to preserve his arm, but he wants to prove himself for next year. He's a young guy with a lot of talent. Sale's going to give you 100% out there every time, so I don't think he would be somebody in that regard. But we'll talk to Washington, Miami game here. Irvin going for Washington. He's struggled as of late, and Perez has done the same thing. Perez right now is about a 155 favorite, total 8.5 to the under. And we've got two teams right now that are been out of the playoffs for a while, especially Washington. But I don't know if I trust Jake Irvin. Comes in with a 5.71 ERA, 5.74 expected, 1.44 whip. Nothing is good. In fact, his extension, great extension. He's a tall guy, 6'6", so in the 94th percentile, but single-digit percentiles. Expected ERA 5th, whiff 4th, strikeout rate 4th, barrel rate 5th, hard hit 7th. I don't want any part of Jake Irvin. He last 2 years his ERA was 4.41, 4.61. Granted, he's playing in a division with some pretty good offenses in it, but he's not a guy I'm looking to back. Yuri Perez, a real mixture when you take a look at his stats. Comes in with a 4.66 ERA, 3.41 expected, 1.10 whip. He's pitched better than what his numbers suggest, but he had that string when he came back from injury, and he struggled. Then he was great. Now he's struggling again. He's up to 75 innings. Last year did not pitch. The year before, 91. So maybe he's hit the wall here. His ground ball rate is only in the 8th percentile. Hard hit rate 15th. Average exit velocity 24th. So I do have concerns about that. If I play this game at all, it would be towards the over. We are looking at an 8.5. It's pretty much an 8.5 straight round. You don't have to pay any juice there. So two young teams that I like the hitting a little bit better than the pitching at this point. So I would lean towards the over. But, yeah, everything's got to be taken on an individual basis when it comes to taking a look at what they're going to do. Some guys are playing for contracts. Some guys playing for the spot in the rotation still. If you end the season in the rotation, and we'll see this out of the Mets, that gives a good indication on who they're going to use to start the rotation the following year. Obviously, you've got to take in injuries into account, but some of these guys are pitching for next year already, and we'll have to see how it goes for a lot of them.
To quickly answer the question, I don't think the pitchers take velocity off because, like Brian said, they're playing for a contract and they want to look good. They want to get traded to a good team. If they're on a bad team, they still want to get paid. What does happen though is managers limit their innings going down. So you're going to see guys like Skeens or old guys like Sale. You might start seeing them go shorter outings, not reaching 90 instead of the 100 being the ceiling, 90 being the ceiling for pitch count. That kind of thing does happen quite often. But the pitcher, if he's on the mound, he's pitching his guts out. That's just how these guys are. They're competitors, and they've been doing this since they were 6 years old. So on to this game. Both pitchers, man, have been knocked up pretty hard. Perez just gave up 7 earned to this team in his last start. So that's not good. And his overall numbers against them, not too bad, an 800 OPS. So not terrible. The game before he gave up 7 to Washington, he gave up 5 to the Mets. So that's not instilling a lot of confidence in him. He did have one good game where he gave up 1, but then the 2 games before that, he gave up 4 earned and 5 earned. So the luster is starting to wear off of Yuri Perez here. Jake Irvin, here's a stat for you. In his last 5 starts, he's given up 26 earned runs. That's just awful. So the first thing my inclination would be look at an over. So which team's hitting better? I got Washington ranked 8 in hitting and I got Miami's bullpen ranked 28. So a Washington team total over would be my knee-jerk reaction. I have not analyzed it to see how much it is, but on Pinnacle, it's only 3.5 at -119. I think that's a pretty nice bet. So that would be how I would go.
I mean, this is a scrimmage at this point. Like, it's like these two. I have zero faith. I'm just going to triple down now. I've now given out in some capacity the over in this game the past 2 days. On Monday, there was 22 runs. I got back and forth in the chat with some folks on that one. 22 runs. Yesterday, I gave out over as the way I would play this one on the show, and it got there with 12 runs. And a big reason I thought that, and it is exactly how yesterday played out. I just don't think either of these teams is capable of holding the other one down for 9 innings with what they're throwing out there at this point. The Nationals have no bullpen arms. The Marlins, who did have some arms that impressed me for a period of time, have just seemed to collectively run out of gas, and it goes to the bullpen as well. A lot of guys that I think the Marlins sort of made into these like solid 2-3 inning guys that, you know, might help with their future. I think some of them are going to be on the roster and be guys that are good long term. They just look like they've run out of gas at this point. And you mean to tell me the over is 8.5, which means they're gonna give you the key number? Yeah, like theoretically, this should be. If I'm looking like Yuri Perez when he's good can be really good. So that's the concern, right? The fact that like if he's got it together, he can come out and throw 6-7 scoreless. But you still get to go against Irvin. You're still likely to get 3 innings at minimum out of the Marlins bullpen. Like there's just runs around, like over the course of 9 innings, there should be run scoring opportunities in this game. And then you talk about Perez, like he's really struggled the last 2 times out. And this is a guy that worked very, very hard in the offseason and then to start this year to come back from a very difficult injury to come back from. So it's like maybe he's just out of gas too. I'm actually surprised. I mean, I told you, I think I talked about it going into his last start or maybe 2 starts ago, that there's no way they would put this guy out there if he was a little bit hurt or injured. Can't ignore the fact that he has not looked the last 2 times out like he did for like a month or 2 when he really sort of kind of figured it out and came back from the injury. And then Jake Irvin, even with the Marlins down Stowers and some of their better hitters, like Irvin's going to give up some runs, and the Nationals bullpen's as bad as it gets. So you got to go over again here. Just take your money from the last 2 days. If you've been betting this over, just take another over. Otherwise, have no interest in these 2 teams. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, and this is not a getaway game. So you don't have to worry about that. They're playing again tomorrow. If it's okay with you, I'm going to suggest a game here because we're getting up against it and we've only gotten one.
Absolutely, go ahead.
I'm going to take a look here at the Cincinnati-San Diego game. Now, a lot of money is coming in on Cincinnati right now. You could have gotten Cincinnati on the overnight at 138. I'm seeing as low as 120 at BetMGM right now. At Fanatics, if you're playing in one of those states, but a lot of money's coming in on Cincinnati, and I don't know if I agree with this. The Reds right now are down to 5.2% chance to make the playoffs. We already know that the Padres and the Dodgers are basically just playing out the season. But my question is, if anybody knows, when Nick Pivetta signed late with the Padres, he was probably the best pitching free agent signing in the league. And he signed late. Was it a 1-year contract or was it a 2-year contract? Because if he's still a free agent again this year, I expect Pivetta to pitch extremely well here because the game will be important to him. I don't remember it. I went to the roster resource page and it hasn't said how long the contract was. So maybe I missed it. Maybe it's a 2-year contract, but it's a 1-year contract. I think this is a bargain on San Diego. Abbott's going for Cincinnati. He's puzzled a lot of us all season long. In fact, his career.
He actually signed a 4-year deal, Brian.
4-year deal.
4-year deal.
Okay. Well, that makes a little bit more sense then, because I still like the situation with him. But yeah, that good for him. That's the perfect ballpark for him. Either in Kansas City or in San Diego, or obviously the Met Stadium, which is good for every pitcher. But I like the Pivetta here. The line is, like I said, you can get as low as 136 out there on him right now. but there are 145s out there. I prefer the San Diego side in this game, and they're playing at home. They've got a very good home record. Cincinnati is a team right now that I think is just playing out the string, and you're paying the juice of them still being in baseball playoff race. Although, like I said, a 5% chance, they're technically out of it. I don't lay a lot of chalk. I'm more of an underdog player, but I'm going to play San Diego here. Let's play San Diego. Let's get the current. Let's go 145. 145 on there. Although, like I said, you can get it in the 130s. Shop around and get that if you want it. But I'm going to play San Diego here. I think really good game for Pivetta here, and Abbott is so inconsistent. I could be wrong, but I'll lay the chalk on this one.
I have the Padres ranked a little bit higher than the Reds in almost every category, but when that happens, I like to see a difference of like 10 or more points on my ranking, and I only have these guys 5 points different. But dig a little deeper, and you could probably convince me to take San Diego here because Pivetta's numbers against these batters are just unreal. 60 at bats against a 183 average and a 546 OPS. It's the second best number of any starting pitcher out today against the batters he's facing. Now he's at home, and he loves pitching at home. He's got a 2.39 ERA and 90 innings at home. So take a look at how the teams compare. Yes, the Reds are hitting the ball quite well. I have them ranked 11 in current form. So that's a little bit scary. But the Reds bullpen is performing like trash these days. I have them ranked 21 out of 30 in current form, where I got San Diego's at 11. So given all of that, I probably would favor San Diego in this as well. One red flag, though, Abbott has amazing command. He's only walking 23% of the batters he's striking out. Both of these pitchers have really good command. They're not walking people almost at all. So I just like Pivetta's numbers in the head-to-head matchup. I think it'll be a tight game, though. I think San Diego will probably pull it out, maybe a run. This looks like a 4-3 kind of game to me. So that's probably what we'll be seeing.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking the two teams right now, I certainly prefer the Padres. Don't think it's impossible that they got a lot to play for still. Even though they're going to be in the playoffs, like catching the Dodgers, I think catching the Dodgers means way more to them than it does the Dodgers. Like I really don't think. Yeah, like I don't really think the Dodgers are going to be devastated if they don't win the division for some reason. It's just like they're going to go to the playoffs, and like that's the focus for them. Whereas like I do think it's a pretty big deal for the Padres if they can pull it off, which is very possible. They're only 2 games back to win the division. So I think,
I apologize cutting you off, but this is playing out exactly like last season. And when the Padres lost the division, they were so deflated. So I'm just adding to what you're saying right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely think there's like motivation there. Petco Park in September, like that's one of the better atmospheres you're going to find in baseball. That crowd is great year round, but they are ready for, especially when the Padres are good. That's a playoff atmosphere come September at a night game. They're 44-26 at home this year. And that comes as no surprise. That is probably one of the best atmospheres in the league. And, hey, San Diego, they lost their football team. So they have one thing now, and that one thing is the Padres, and they show up for that team. It's going to be a tremendous atmosphere. Reds on the road this year, 33-38. Doesn't really surprise me that much. I feel like the Reds are what they are. They're a 500 team. I feel like they more or less beat themselves often this year. And it's like, you look at this matchup and the magnitude of the game for the Padres, the fact that they're at home, the fact they have Pivetta on the mound, it's really hard to like not like the Padres, how this sets up. So I'm with you, Brian. I think it would be Padres or a pass for me as well. All right, I'm going to throw a game out, but I'll go to you two first. Let's finish off the AL sort of West playoff race. Let's talk Cardinals Mariners. This is probably going to end up being my parlay leg, but I'm going to give you two a chance to either talk me into it or talk me out of it. It's Logan Gilbert. It looks like McGreevy for the Cardinals. How are you seeing this one, Brian?
All right, let's check the line on this one. Logan Gilbert's about a 220 favorite, total 7.5. The problem with Seattle being a 220 favorite is a lot of their pitchers, the innings are really taking a toll on them. Gilbert's had some injuries this year. When he pitches, he's been good. He hasn't been as good as he's been in the past, but they've had some other guys that have run into problems too. McGreevy's a guy, and I think I backed St. Louis on 5% or a big play last time he pitched, and he did not pitch well. And I took the losses. One of my few losses I've had in the last couple of months. Still number one in net profit in baseball the last 30 days. But St. Louis coming into this, you take a look at their numbers lately. St. Louis, a team playing through the grinding out the season. They're 5-5 the last 10. Don't have any chance for the playoffs, but they're still only 2 games under 500. I think it means a lot to this team to get to be a 500 team or better again. I'm sure they've got a nice streak of that. That's been a long time since the Cardinals have not had a winning record, but they've got McGreevy on the mound. His ERA is up to 4.68, 4.91 on expected, 1.26 whip. His walk rate 99th percentile, doesn't walk anybody. 3.9% this year, 2.3% last year. Now, we saw that with one of TB's favorite pitchers that pitched for the Twins yesterday. Very similar. His season is very similar to what his was last year. And you look at his strikeout percentage, 2nd percentile, whiff rate 8th, expected batting average 4th, throws seven pitches. His fastball is basically, he throws it 25% of the time. So he's got a lot of different pitches. I like that. But he's not going to blow you away with his fastball. I like McGreevy, but I liked him last week and he didn't pay me back. Logan Gilbert comes in with a 4-6 record. He was a guy that was one of them that they considered front runner for the Cy Young. You're not going to win many Cy Youngs with 4 wins in September. 3.61 ERA, 2.82 expected, 1.02 whip. Still a really good pitcher, but he does get hurt. His average exit velocity, 14th percentile, is a concern. But I like him, but he's been very up and down. For myself, I can't lay the 220 on Seattle based on the way he's been. He's had too many bad outings. McGreevy has the ability to pitch with him in this game. If I play it, I take the underdog, but I likely won't get there in this one.
Well, this isn't going to help Adam if he's on the fence because I'm going the opposite way. I love Seattle in this matchup. I like Gilbert. I'll make it quick because we're running out of time, but I like Gilbert's numbers against these batters. I like Gilbert as a pitcher. He's in his last few starts. He's finished 6 innings in 3 straight starts. And my expected numbers for McGreevy, according to my numbers, are terrible. I got him ranked 21 on the 30 on a curve of 30, where I got Gilbert ranked 6. So my numbers love Seattle here. So I agree with you that the price is too high. A -1, even a -1 is -170. So it's tough to take it at that price, but I really like Seattle in this one.
I'll break the tie. I'm going to take Cardinals plus 1.5. It's possible. Hey, it's possible Seattle wins and the Cardinals still cover. McGreevy's a guy that he's kind of been at the AAA level or in the big leagues for the Cardinals the last couple of years. If you want to talk about being important to him, this is an important start to him. I think he's probably a guy that the Cardinals are looking at, trying to evaluate whether he's going to be in their rotation next year or not. And he might have had some blowups like last time out against the Giants. As Bryan said, he didn't pitch very well, but for the most part, he's had a very good season. If you look at all of his starts this year, Memphis, and then the ones at the big league level, he's had a very solid season. I think he's a solid pitcher with a lot of upside. And so again, I think it's very possible he comes out and pitches well here. I still am not convinced that Logan Gilbert is not injured in some capacity. I know he's pitched well the last couple times out, but knowing the injury he had earlier this season, there's no way he's not pitching through that a little bit, and that could crop up at any time. We saw how bad he was in that Philly start, having couldn't locate anything, and it's like he's battled through his last couple starts, but again, I still think you're being asked to pay a premium number on a guy that might be hurt. And then I'll just go to the fact that I've watched every inning of this series so far without any action on it. The Mariners winning both of those first two games of the series by more than one run, very fortunate. Go back to 2 nights ago. They trailed for the majority of that game, come out with a 4-run 6th inning, and they were able to hold on 4-2, use their leverage relief arms to do so. Go to last night. It was back and forth. All the scoring stopped after the 4th inning. After it was Cardinals up 2-0. Then I believe it was 3-3. Mariners get up 5-3, and then they end up being able to hold on to that with their top bullpen arms. Josh Naylor may have tweaked something in the last inning of that game last night. Guys, it's hard for him to get off the ground these days. He just gets bigger. Every time I see him, he puts on a few more pounds, but he made a sliding play, which is a really nice play. Kind of winced when he got up. I'll be interested to see if that, maybe it looked like he tweaked something in the groin area, maybe the way he slid and sort of backhanded that ball, got up, made the play to first. That would be rough if he's out of the lineup for them today. So something I'll be looking at. But all things considered, this series, these last 2 games have been too competitive for me to think the Cardinals don't have a chance to avoid the sweep, B, the possibility that they keep it to at least 1 run. You're getting them on the road, so you kind of get the extra at bat. So that'll be my parlay leg. Cardinals plus 1.5. Brian, what am I looking at for a price?
-115.
Yeah, I really think that's a all around good bet. If any of those things happens in that way, the Cardinals probably win this game. Worst case scenario, can they keep it within a run? I think they can. So that is going to be my parlay leg. And we've got the parlay locked in. If you missed yesterday's show, it was a nice 3-team winner plus 550. So we're going to try to do it again. The chat says that we can't hit back-to-back parlays. I do think there's been at least one point in time this year where we hit a back-to-back parlay, but we've got the chance to do it again. So let's see. I just want to make sure these prices are accurate. And all right, here we go. There we go. Okay, that is correct. All right, so plus 468 on this 3-teamer. We're going to go, Tokyo Brandon's going Brewers, Rangers, first 5 under 4. So that's Brewers, Rangers, first 5 under 4. Brian Leonard's got the Padres on the money line, and I'm going to take Cardinals plus 1.5. So once again, 3-teamer. Tokyo Brandon, Brewers, Rangers, first 5 under 4. Brian, San Diego Padres, money line. Trig, Cardinals, plus 1.5. That parlay is plus 468. That's the show. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. Have a great day, everyone. Good luck with all your bets.